In past units, we've talked about cascading style sheets, or CSS, and even created some basic styles with page properties, and then moved them into an external CSS file so they could be applied to all of our pages. In this unit, we will delve into CSS a lot more and look at how we could alter the styling of any tag. Here are some of the tags we've talked about. The H1 tag, the H2 for our headings, the P for paragraph, and then strong, which is usually shown as bold. This is what they generally look like, the headings being larger and the strong being bold. And this is an example of what we could change them into, changing the colors, changing borders, changing fonts, changing backgrounds, and more. If we take a look at a paragraph, on the left-hand side we have the standard paragraph without any styling from CSS. On the right-hand side, for now we have the same paragraph, but here are some examples of what we can do with CSS. We can make it so instead of being left justified, it's full justified so it looks more like a book with both sides being straight up and down. We could add some padding around it so that it doesn't bump into the edges as much. We could change the line spacing to make it be single spaced or double spaced, 1.5 spaced, set it however we want. We could change the font, the background color, and even the font color. In the end, we can create a very different look, setting a style for our own website and making things easier to read for the viewer. If we look at the code on how this is handled, in our CSS page we would have a paragraph selector, and in there we would have quite a few properties. Reading these, we can get an idea of what those mean. The font family is similar to the font, although there's a list there. We'll talk about that more in the next video. The font size and the line height. The color has those numbers there. Those numbers represent different amounts of red, blue, and green. Background color, text align, padding, and the margin. But to remember all of that can take some time, and to make sure you have all of the exact right wording and the semicolons, that could be a little bit daunting, especially when you're first getting used to CSS. Luckily, Dreamweaver makes this a lot easier for us. In the CSS Designer panel, we have a bunch of properties set up for us. They're split between multiple different categories. We have our layout here, our text properties including font face and size and color, alignment, and more. Our border properties where we can set a border on some sides or all the way around, set the thickness, and more. Our background properties to set the color, our image as our background, placement of those images. And there's a lot more to it. We'll take a look at some of those in this unit and the next couple of units. Back to our original paragraph, it's important to understand that CSS is closely tied with tags that we've been using from HTML. To be able to use CSS well, we need to understand there are two primary categories of tags, block and inline. The paragraph here is a block level tag. That means it creates space above it and below it. If we have a strong tag, say his gray eyes shone and twinkled, this is an inline tag. It doesn't create extra space around it, it just fits in within the block that it's in. If that strong tag was a block level tag, this paragraph would look more like that. We generally would not want that. So there are two main types of tags, the block and the inline. Of the tags we've looked at, the paragraph is a block. Headings are almost like special types of paragraphs, and they also are block. But the strong tag is an inline tag, and the A tag, that's our link, that's also an inline tag. We wouldn't want those to create space above and below them. We want those to just fit within the sentence that they're already in. Sometimes, though, you want to change what the defaults are. For example, we can have list items. Here's a list, milk, eggs, cheese, lettuce, and tomatoes, that usually each one of those list items is a block level tag. But sometimes you want those to be inline. This is very handy if you want your navigation system to have links going across as opposed to down, and is something that we will do in this unit.